So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another call by Smriti Goswami. And we are going to talk about unlocking your voice. And Smriti, who is a right voice for you, certified facilitator, and she's also a being you certified facilitator, talk to entities certified facilitator, business done development facilitator, or joy of business certified facilitator. And I have attended a lot of classes with Smriti. And, I invited Smriti so that she can speak more about the Right Voice for You program and what magic can we create with this. So thank you, Smriti. Over to you. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Geet. And hello and welcome, everyone. I'm so looking forward to today's call. And it's about, so I've been a Right Voice for You facilitator for a few years now. And I can't even begin to tell you how much these attending these classes and even conducting these classes has created for me. From this coming from someone who used to be really, really shy, and I used to hesitate speaking up. I used to hesitate talking to people. All that has changed, and very, very dynamic.
Perhaps, if I may say, do not expect comfort in.
All right. So, yeah. So that's how things have changed for me. Now, when you look at how you're being in the world, it's all about showing up. How much do we actually keep ourselves hidden? We keep ourselves, the moment we walk into a room, we'll just make sure we go to one corner of the room so that nobody even notices us. Now, why are we doing that? We do that because we perceive a lot of judgments from people. And some way we try and fit in with them. So we try being less than what we are, just so that others around us do not feel uncomfortable. And we're doing it all subconsciously. So be very present with what's going on. There was some disturbance, I think.
I'll mute.
Yeah. Just also make me the co-host so that I can mute if required.
You are a co-host already.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks. So now we tend to stop ourselves from showing up very dynamically because we don't want others around us to feel uncomfortable. Now, what happens when you're being that? Somewhere you're not willing to step into your own power. Okay. So a question to you guys is, are you actually creating a life or business or relationship from a place of force or the place of recognizing the true power of you? What happens is, like, off late, even now, recently, one of the things that has actually been showing up in my world lately has me misidentifying my power for force. So, like, I know I don't want to create from force, but rather actually from the joy of creating. So we hesitate. What happens is, you think you're being a bulldozer, you're being being a huge force, and that's not going to create, because you feel that others around you would just sort of get sidelined. But that's not what you have to look at. What others are choosing is what they're choosing. You need to be that, when you talk about being aggressive presence, aggressive presence is more about not knowing, it's about knowing what others are being around you, knowing the information that others are giving you about themselves, but it's choosing to not be the effect of that. So it's choosing to, how do I put it across? To not lose you in front of others, no matter what others are being, whatever energy they're being. It's about choosing to still own everything that you are. And yes, at times, owning everything you are can be very, very intense. Okay, and it can be uncomfortable as hell, especially when you're stepping into your power and potency. It can be so uncomfortable. And what happens with most of us is we go into really judging ourselves. Am I even being enough? Is everything okay? Am I missing out on something? And then you constantly keep on judging yourself, and that does not really create anything. So when I was talking about, I was misidentifying my power for force. What exactly it is all about is, it's like there's another energy showing up there. It's like more intense, more aggressive, more potent than anything that I've been familiar with so far. Okay, so now what happens is, let me just rephrase it. It's like when you're aware of being that force of unstoppable, and you start judging yourself for being too much, or you feel if I do all these things, others will judge me, or they will think, they'll be sarcastic or whatever. And then you keep slowing yourself down, you keep making yourself less. So when you are choosing, when you choose to subdue everything that you are, that's when you start losing your voice in the world. That's when you start suppressing your voice in the world, because you're not that person. You are somebody who knows the greatness of you, but you keep making yourself wrong, you keep making yourself less, because somewhere you're trying to subdue. Because if you actually go out there in the world, you think that you will kill everyone. That intensity of you will just kill everyone. So what you tend to do is you tend to make it more peaceful, less of what it is. You try to control it. And because somewhere you don't want to function from force. So just be very present to what exactly are you being in the world? What exactly is required? Because I know I've done this so often. And how many times I've just sort of suppressed my voice because I thought it might not go down well with the other person and stuff. And that's not really being a gift. Okay, you being everything you are is actually a gift to the world. So just be very present with that. So I asked myself this question. So is it actually force, or is it power that you're not acknowledging? And the more I thought about it, and I realized, like, yes, it's actually, it is power. It's power that I was not acknowledging. So when you look at what's the difference between power and force, and how do you know what you're using? So an example or a picture that can come to my mind right now as I thought of all these things are a tornado or a tsunami or a hurricane. Okay, so when you approach a rock or a tree and try and push it, you are functioning from force. Okay, and yes, maybe eventually when you keep on pushing that tree or you keep pushing that rock, the tree will eventually fall down, or if you like really try hard enough, maybe it will, or maybe you might have to use an axe to just break it down or cut it down and allow it to fall. Or even with the rock, when you're pushing really, really hard, if you use a lot of force, it might move. But when you look at a tsunami actually functions very differently. It is just power so overwhelming that nothing will stop it. And it's just being itself with that magnificent energy that it is. Without a point of view, without an opinion, it is power, and it just lifts that tree or the rock kind of by accident. But is there any force in it? No. It just moves that tree or lifts that tree or rock just effortlessly. Okay. Is there power in it? Hell yes. So I'm inviting you to choose that. Every time you're creating, choose to create from that power of you without making yourself wrong, without looking at who you're hurting, what's going on, without suppressing your voice. Now, are you willing to be that powerful, like a tsunami? Willing to be that committed to your life that nothing can stop you ever? Would you be willing to be the tsunami of your life that nobody can ever stop? And would you be willing to be the power and potency you truly be? It's just a choice. to step into the power of you, the potency of you, the space of being the tsunami that you truly are. It's again just a choice. And no more choosing to suppress your voice. Who are you even suppressing it for? Who are you making comfortable with that choice? So look at and be present to what exactly is going on in your world, what exactly your choices are creating, and take it from there. So, cool. So does anyone have any questions?
I have.
can.
I have. Smriti, primarily, this thing comes into my mind, and this is very logical or rational kind of question that I'm coming from. I know the power in this right voice for you, and I've seen some transformations, but I would like to hear from you. Everybody loves stories. Can we have some before and after stories where somebody came to you and they came up with, they had no idea what it was about, but right voice for you changed something for them? And I'm looking at something where, see, I am already registered for your class, but I still would like to say, I'd like to have that. What is that? If you can tell us some stories.
Okay, so let me start by my own stories.
Yeah.
Not like they're not stories of. It's like in Access they say don't tell or buy a story, but if your story can actually motivate someone to realize that there is a different possibility, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, and I don't identify with any of what I'll be telling you right now because I've changed so much. So for me, it used to be really, really easy to, do whatever. Just a minute, I'm just muting.
Done.
Okay. So for me, if you ask me to jump off a plane or do whatever dangerous stunts or, all those dangerous maneuvers in an aircraft, I would just do that in a split second without even thinking, and would be very excited to do that. But if you would have asked me a few years ago to actually get up on stage and talk to people or address a group of people, that used to be so terrifying. And leave alone being on stage, even interacting with people. Interacting with strangers used to be such a big deal. I just couldn't even walk up to any stranger or ask something or say something to that person. And then I've also gone through episodes where, your own friends or somebody, some family member would end up saying something to you or be a little mean and nasty, and I wouldn't know how to deal with it. Like I would think of a reply only after like 4 to 5 days, and I was like, hey, this is what I should have told that person at that moment. So I've gone through all that, and I can't even begin to tell you how much attending the Right Voice for You classes have changed things for me. It's made me so much more present with what's going on. It's made me realize, like, I just have started seeing through other people's agendas, whatever's going on for them. And I don't really make them wrong anymore, but I'm so aware and so present. And then I say, okay, cool. What is it working for me? Is it going to create greater? And I go follow the energy. Also, when I'm aware of other people's agendas or things that are going on with them, and I can also identify when they're going to say what. You can sort of just be so aware of what's going on in their world that I'm so prepared with an answer. I just know. Also, as you're doing a lot of Access classes, you start becoming more and more aware. Okay, but just because you're aware doesn't mean you have to do something about it. You can choose to be aware and not judge them, and choose to not lose yourself because somebody is choosing to show up as a weird energy in your space. So these things have started changing. Now, of course, needless to say, when I remember I think I mentioned this in the last call, I don't remember, when I was in front of Gary, when I was choosing the Right Voice for You CF training, and I asked him a question, and literally my voice was shaking. I was like almost as if I'm about to just cry. Like your voice becomes really wobbled and weird and jittery. And literally my knees were shaking. And all I was doing was just asking Gary a question in the class. And I just said, hey, every time I'm conducting a Zoom call, I just blank out. I don't know what to say to people. This I just keep getting such a download of information from everybody on the call that I just blank out. And he just looked at me and he's like, your job as a facilitator is to facilitate the class. Just go do your job. Stop making any of the other things significant. And that's all he said to me, okay? And then I realized I was making myself very significant there in that particular thing where how others are perceiving me, what are they thinking about me, am I even doing a good job? So I was rooting everything via me. And the moment I removed myself from that equation and I was present there only as a facilitator to facilitate all the people, everything changed for me. And once I came back also from that Right Voice for You CF training, I actually addressed a group of more than 250 engineering students about public speaking, about showing up and so on. And I didn't even have even a single sheet of paper in front of me. I was so present. And what I'm trying to say is within a couple of days, there was such a huge transformation. From someone who's so shy of being on stage, I could just be there and be present. So these are the little things that start showing up. They can really, really take you to places that you wouldn't even have thought of. Also, one more thing, when I became a Joy Business Facilitator, I was part of some call. It was just a book read. And I thought I'd just go online. And that was my very first Zoom call ever. And so many years ago. And I thought all I have to do is just go read the book and facilitate people and no big deal. But I just kept blanking out. I didn't know what I was saying. I kept leaving the meeting and I realized it's not fun. And eventually I left that meeting. I let go of that call. Thankfully, there was another facilitator co-facilitating. So she managed to deal with the whole thing. But I felt so miserable. And that's when I was like, whatever it is that you're running away from, whatever it is that you are scared of, is where you actually have the maximum potency and power. So I was like, I'm not going to run away from this. Let me just deal with whatever's going on here. And the first thing I did after getting off from that call and spending 2 days feeling really bad about myself, feeling really, really miserable, then I was like, okay, this shit needs to change right now. So I was like, I just looked up and I said, okay, when is the next Right Voice for You class happening? And the 3-day class. And then I signed up for that. And then I went on to be the Right Voice for You CF. So I did not look at, oh, I myself can't get on the stage. How will I facilitate people? Because I just knew I had to be a Right Voice for You CF. Because now, when there are people who come to me for classes, I know what they're going through because I've gone through all that. I've experienced the fear that they have of showing up. I've experienced everything that they would be talking about and what if all that has been showing up for you is basically you choosing to make yourself wrong, choosing to continuously judge yourself instead of realizing the true power and potency of you. So what if everywhere you're hiding or choosing to be invisible or shying away from showing up are the places where you actually have the maximum potency. And also over a period of times, I've realized I've dealt with a lot of mean and nasty people in my life. Some have been friends, some have been family members, extended family members. And earlier I used to feel really, really bad and I would keep quiet and I wouldn't say anything. And till I realized that I have a choice to not take that nonsense from anyone. So the moment somebody is being that energy is when you have to actually expand your being and be more than them, that intensity. So if somebody is gaslighting you, where are you not willing to be a bigger gaslighter? It's all in your being. All you have to do is just be that energy, back off. You mess with me and I will kill you. Now that energy is just, you're not even saying anything to them. It's just your being that projects that onto them. So, and I realized that they just take a back seat and they stop saying whatever they were about to say. So this level of confidence, this level of presence, this level of awareness, and this choice, it did not show up before that right voice for you. Choosing, I've attended quite a few right voice for you classes, and so much has started changing over and over and over again. So these are this is the extent to which you can start changing. You know, even people in my classes, when they show up and or any of the right voice for you classes, I won't just mention mine, any of the right voice for you classes, right voice for you, for me, is actually about learning to receive myself. And the moment you start receiving yourself without any judgments, without making yourself wrong, the moment you start seeing the power of you, it's a total game changer. So those of you who are sitting on the fence wondering, will this class even create anything for us? Why should we get into this and stuff? This is the kind level of change that I'm inviting you to. That power of you, that stepping into the greatness of you. That's what this Right Voice View class invites you to. And we have a whole lot of home plays, and there are a lot of exercises which would be inviting you to literally go beyond your comfort zone. I've had a few participants who used to be so camera shy, and then I'd ask them to make some videos and go do Facebook Lives and stuff. And they resisted it so much, but because it was part of the class, they had to do that. And I can't even begin to tell you the level of gratitude or the level of change that showed up in their world. They literally said, like, thank you for making us do this, because how much we've run away from it. And now that we're doing this, it's no big deal. It's actually so much fun. And then they started showing up so much more in their work, in their business, and also at home. So this is the level of changes that these classes invite you to. Yes, Keith, anything else you'd like to?
No, I think that's a lot of information. I'd like to have all of that.
So what is the prereq of this class?
There's no prereq.
Okay, anyone can choose that, right?
Anyone can choose. And,
Okay.
and then we have a very pretty place in Goa, right by the beach. And the venue is really, really beautiful. And also it's not very expensive. If you're looking at, say, oh, we'll have to pay for the class and then we'll have to now pay for the venue as well. Look at it as 3 days of literally nurturing your being, nurturing your body, being with people who actually have your back, and being that space where you're actually even inviting nature, where you're inviting so many more possibilities into your life. It's that 3 days of literally pampering yourself and changing as well. And also, we'll be painting also. So those of you who are thinking, oh my God, I can't even hold a brush, I can't even look at a canvas, I have no clue what I'll be doing. This thing is about, you'll realize that painting is so very therapeutic. It's about, Geet, you had asked me
Yes.
what changed, right? So
Yeah,
one of the
so can I just interrupt and say something? You know, I have heard of Right Voice for You program, and I also saw Gary's video. I thought it is about singing. So when I was new to Access, somebody asked me what is Right Voice for You. I said, you can sing better, you can become a better singer. I had no idea. And Smriti is the only one I know of who created a variation by bringing out that voice out there with the help of paint. And one of my friends who have never painted in her 45 years of life, and she went to Smriti's class and came up with painting, and I had to beg her to give me at least one painting. She created 17 masterpieces and did not even give one. So I am going to create my own paintings now.
So yeah, I know that person. She every day she would create a new paint. I think she fractured her leg or something, and she was on the bed and her movement was restricted. So she's like, okay, now what do I do? So she asked her kids to get her the canvases and paints and all. And every day she would create a new painting. And then she would be so excited. So it's not about judging you whether you're a good artist or not. It is more about when you're painting, you're just so connected with what you're doing. You're so present with what you're doing that you don't have time for all that monkey mind chatter and other things to, get you to keep judging you and stuff, or get you worried about some things. Now I'll give you another example since you asked how things have changed. So I conducted a Right Voice Week class in Pune, and there was a 7-year-old kid who was part of that. And every time we would ask him something, he would say, I don't want to talk about anything right now. I don't want to speak right now. And so we'd let go. Okay. So eventually what he did, he was so fed up with, all of us even looking at him. He decided to go and sit under the chair. So you can imagine the chair, how big that is. And he was like a tiny fellow. He just went and sat down under the chair with his iPad. And the chair was also covered. When you go to these banquet halls, those chairs are covered. So there was a black cover on that chair and he was hiding under that. All I knew he was there because I could see the reflection, a little light from the iPad. Now, the 2 days of the class, he was like this. The second day, afternoon is when we were conducting that painting session. And so basically what happens is I just create the painting and others can just see. I just teach a little bit, like I'll just show them how to do it. And then you have to do it by yourself. You just take a little guidance, but beyond that, it's your painting. I'm not going to come there, do anything. It's your totally your baby, right? Now he was choosing totally different colors. He was doing something totally different. And when I came and had a look at his painting, he's like, okay, I didn't want to make that blue vase. I wanted to make a red one. I was like, okay, cool. And you're doing a great job. And anyways, he enjoyed that so much that after that, for the rest of the class and the third day, it was so difficult to even get him to be quiet because he just wouldn't stop. He had so much to share. He had so many questions to ask. And I was like, wow, it's like he's changed so much. So, and that was just a 7-year-old kid. So you can see how these exercises, these things start creating that change for you. It's really, really dynamic. Wow. Now, what else? Does anyone else have any questions?
How different it is with being you and with the right voice?
Oh, very different, yeah.
It sounds like, okay.
Very different. This class so being you class is regular, like where you're inviting a person to be themselves and stuff. Right voice for you is about showing up, like really dynamically showing up. It's about, you'll see like people didn't even know you earlier, or they would just look through you. Suddenly they can't ignore you, no matter what. There's just no way they can ignore you. Plus, this class has a very different format. This is more exercise based. There'll be a lot of activities that we'll be doing in this class. It's not like you're just sitting and receiving the class. There is so much more going on where you'll be interacting with people. There'll be things I would ask you to do, which I can't really give away right now, but it's going to be a very more activity based. Whether you like it or not, you'll have to be out there. And you don't have to sing if you don't want to. That's just part of it. Like one aspect of it that is only for those people who are looking at improving their singing. So that is because I can't sing for the life of me. Okay, and that's not something I would like to choose also for myself. So that's not what it is, but it is about how to go about things. It's like when you're in front of people, what are the energies that you have to invite into your space to be that force which nobody can actually take away from you, to literally be that aggressive presence with the gentleness of literally like a flower. So if you look at a flower or you look at a hummingbird, you can't stop or help but admire their beauty. They are, and how gentle they are, right? But you can't take your eyes off them, the flowers or the hummingbirds or even animals for that matter. You know why? Because they are being totally present. They are willing to be everything they are. And they're not constantly judging themselves. So there are a lot of activities that we'll be doing which will invite you to be that force direct of unstoppable, yet with the gentleness.
Really looking forward because it sounded very excited.
I can't even tell you how the level of change it creates. It's literally, it's not tangible. I cannot even explain. Some things you just have to step into that space of you that's always been there, but you've resisted that. It's like, it's that example of the tsunami that I just gave you, being the tsunami. It's just there, but you just keep it hidden and suppressed. But the moment you choose to be there, out there, there's nobody and nothing that can stop. So that's the invitation. That's the space I'm inviting you to start functioning from. That's the space and invitation for this class.
Thank you so much for this awareness, because this is a huge information in this call only. Looking forward to choose this.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to having you here in Goa. Imagine being in Goa and attending this class. Cool. Does anyone else have any questions?
Hi. And
Hi.
I have a quick question. So would that be like a live class, or would it be, it has to be live?
Yeah, this class has to be attended live.
Okay, what would it take for me to show up in Goa then?
Yes, what would it take? What would it take?
Thank you.
Yeah, this class, there's a certain level of presence that's required, and this class can only be attended live. So, anyone else have any questions? Anything going on for them? No. Okay. So there's just one more thing that I'd like to share, since we were talking about being the tsunami. Okay. And where or maybe I think we'll keep it for the next call. Yeah. I think we'll keep that for the next call.
Yes.
Which is, when is our next call? There's one more call coming up, guys.
So it's at 10 p.m. on 3rd June. So if you may allow, I will share my screen. I have some information while on this call. I created this presentation. Just a moment. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Geet.
Yeah, you're welcome. So Smriti will be talking about keys to finding your own voice. Just a snippet, not much because it really takes your presence and Smriti's facilitation to get those keys out and make an impact. But she will share a little bit more about keys to finding your own voice. That will be at 10 p.m. on 3rd June. Right? So there is a lot going to happen in the Goa vibes. If you see some of these delicacies here, there is a master chef here in Goa. We can choose if you would like to have gourmet, amazing food there by a chef called as Avinash Martin. So one of the days we would go there. This is the accommodation that we are going to have. These are the cottages. You can see what is the distance between the cottage and the beach. So it's right bang on the beach. And beach is mostly secluded, especially in this season. And I'm so much looking forward to having clouds, the sun, the rain, and also rainbows. So by the time it would be Smriti's class, monsoon have already hit Goa. So come and join that. And I have an excess bars class, which would be my 75th bars class on 5th June. 6 to 8, we are going to have a retreat. We also have talk to entities, and then there is talk to entities intermediate by Aradhana Tiwari. You are also welcome to come for bars and body process swap. And on 14th to 16th, we are going to have Smriti's Right Voice for You. I did not create the poster as yet. We are yet to share more details about it. So I'll share in the group, as well as you'll get an email or a WhatsApp with all the details. And yeah.
Also the accommodation pricing, it's going to be, I think it's about 2,500 per person.
On a twin sharing.
On a twin sharing basis. This is per day pricing.
Yeah. And if you wish to have your own room, it's 4,500 rupees. You can have your own cottage.
Per day, yeah? Per day. And this includes breakfast, right?
And lunch.
Breakfast and lunch both. And then evenings you can step out and explore Goa and have fun with that.
Yeah, so you can go to Butterfly Beach, Pebbles Beach, Cabo de Rama, all those super duper hit places these days. So you can choose to go there.
Also, something really interesting. So apart from this, so we'll be conducting the class half in the garden, half in this location. There'll be another area, the place where we'll also be conducting the class, which actually has a pool attached to it. So you can choose to be even in the pool while attending the class. You never know how things will show up. So this class is just about just being that space of you with no judgments, just literally showing up. So that's also a possibility. So, and it's not going to be restricted to just one venue. We will be going to different places, different venues, and conducting this class. So there'll be no moment to get bored. There'll be just so much to do, so many activities. And also, yes, you will be talking to strangers and coming back with a lot of information on all those places where you've hesitated, and now it's not such a big deal anymore.
Hi, Smriti. Hi, Geet.
Hi.
This is Shilpa here. Just had one question, Smriti. Good to know we need to attend this live.
Yeah.
I currently live in another country, so I'm kind of, still asking myself if I would be able to show up to this. So just want to know if it's a possibility that the timings that you take the class can be flexible. Is that something which is a possibility?
We can work that out, depending on the participants who are there. We can work that out.
Okay.
Like what are you looking at?
If I do come, right, I currently live in Malaysia. It's 2.5 hours early as per India time, as in from India time. I would need to work. Unfortunately, I don't have leave. So, and I've done this earlier with Geet on his first class in Goa. So I used to, he took the class at 7 to 12 in the morning, and I used to work the rest of the day, and that's how I managed it. But now it would be India time wise, I would need to work from say 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. or I can probably figure out some amount of flexibility at my end, but that would also mean that maybe it's going to have to be flexible at your end as well to some extent. I don't know, we can work that out. I'd really be interested in knowing that.
So yeah, that's not an issue, depending on the number of people who are there, and if you are choosing it, we can work that around. We can always start the class say maybe 12:31 post lunch.
Okay.
And
normally how many hours in a day would you continue this for? How does it work?
It's at least a good 7 hours class each day.
Okay.
And 6 to 7
hours. That includes
hours,
lunchtime?
This includes lunchtime.
Okay.
Okay.
And
early brunch would save us some time. So we can all have early brunch between 12:30 to 1:30, and we can get indoors because it might be hot between this time, 1:30 to 7:30.
So we can start the class at that time if you're choosing it, and if it's okay with the rest of the participants. And we can finish off by 6 p.m. or something, or 7. And then we can go out party and sleep late and wake up late because Goa is all about that.
Yeah, that's such a great idea. That's such a great idea. Go out, guys, party. You don't have to you don't have to wake up early the next day, and that's amazing.
Or we can wake up early and do whatever activities are lined up at the beach. So
Yeah. Cool.
so that actually gives us like a morning free, and that's okay. So
Okay, so maybe let me connect with you. Let's have a chat and let's see if we can work this out. I was just telling Geet, it's amazing. I think the kind of programs that you guys have lined up at Goa, and I am just telling everybody on the call, I've been to this property which Geet is showing y'all. I have been there, I've stayed there, and it is a really amazing place. Y'all will have, like, whoever chooses to go, whether I'm able to make it or not, I think y'all will have a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm really looking forward to seeing more of you there. And I wonder what magic we can create. And yeah, there's just an energy about this class that's just so beautiful.
It is, Smriti. Thank you, Smriti. And thank you, Geet, for bringing this up. Lovely.
Also, the thing with retreats is that you're also inviting the nature into your space with your classes. And I can't even begin to tell you how that expands the whole energy of the class. There is just so much more receiving that you open up to. So looking forward to seeing you guys there.
Amazing. Great.
Right.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Smriti. And Smriti, you can stay in case you have time. People may have other questions. Otherwise, I can take over and answer the question related to accommodation and all.
I can be here, no worries. Okay, in case someone has any questions.
Yeah, cool.
No worries.
Yeah. Yes, anybody have any more questions? Anything you would like to ask about the class, about the accommodation? 3 days classes are for 93,500.
Yes.
Yes.
It's for this much, Rachna. It's just, I think, 1125 USD, which is depending on the currency exchange. That's the amount it's coming up to.
And in case any of you are based in any other country, the pricing may be different for you. Is it?
Yeah. Okay. So if you're in a different country, there's global pricing. So the 100% pricing of this class is 1,500 USD. And then depending on which country you are and what's the global pricing in that country, it's either 80% of that or 75%. So in India, it is 75% of 1,500 USD, which is converted into INR. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Or
2 people are already in Goa. Vaikunt, I think, just left the call. He's based in Goa.
I saw him,
yeah. And Mamta is also in Goa.
Dr. Mamta, is it?
Yes.
Hi, Mamta. Yeah. Good to see you.
Yeah. So these 2 people have been running the show in Goa. They do lots and lots of swap. They participate. They invite people, and people from other places, whenever they visit Goa, they are the ones to connect with.
Okay, nice.
In fact, in my foundation, for 200 kilometers radius, Mamta was the only one who knew PR and NOR process. So she came in to participate in the foundation. Yeah. Awesome.
Awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So cool.
Smriti, you and Geet are such an invitation that, even if somebody doesn't want to do a course, can just come in. It's so beautiful the way you have invited, like a travel, everything, because I'm a visualizer person, no? And so I can visualize things. It's so inviting.
Thank you. You know what happens, Sonu? Usually now, those places have an energy of their own. And when you're conducting classes and retreats like this, there is so much more that you get to receive. And at least for me, when I'm conducting classes, I'm sure Geet would agree with that for himself also. You just end up taking the class to a totally different new level. There is things that you can't even identify or define right now, but when you're there, you'll actually experience it.
What I see
something totally different.
Yeah, what I see in you is like, how you watch that travel guide channel or something, how they describe, such a beautiful thing. And also, it's so beautiful to listen to that also.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Narration is so beautiful. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we'll keep on tempting you, but until then, you can come for the retreat, which is 6 to 8. You can join us there, and then you would feel that you would like to stay until Smriti comes and join the class as well. How does it get any better than this? Yeah.
I missed out your first sentence.
Okay, so we have 6 to 8. We have a retreat. In that retreat, during that time, that it would be much earlier than Smriti comes, but if you join that retreat, you would decide to stay for another 6 days until Smriti comes. So how does it get better than this?
Basically, what he's saying is there are classes lined up from, I think, 6th onwards up to 16th or later also.
Yes.
So almost about 10 days of classes with different facilitators, and you have a choice to choose. Whichever's calling out to you.
गीत का बस चले तो गोवा में ही सब एक्सेस वाले को बुलाएंगे
सबको वहीं बुलाऊंगा. So
you never know, we might just create a CFP there.
Yeah.
What would it take?
Yes. I have somebody from another country, another CF, who spoke to me last night, and she would like to do right recovery for you, and we can do it on 21st of June. So let's see how many more people would like to receive that.
What shows up.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone. I think I'll also leave now.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Geet, for organizing this. And I can't wait to be in Goa. And I wonder what we'll actually create there.
Yeah.
So looking forward to seeing most of you there. Thank you.
Totally. All
Bye.
right. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.